Welcome back to Better Than a Pill. Today, I'm so excited to have Delaine Fowler on with me as a guest. And Delaine is a physical therapist and the owner of Accelerate Therapy and Performance, which is located in Salisbury, North Carolina. She is also married and mother of three boys, ages 4, 9, and 11, as well as a triathlete. So, welcome, Delaine.
Hey, thanks for having me, Carrie. I'm so pumped to be here.
Yay, me too. I'm so glad to have you here. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about what it means to live a well lifetime. And I want you to kind of start off a little bit by telling us a little bit about your story and how you got involved in the work that you do.
Sure. Well, I became a physical therapist because I was a collegiate athlete that got hurt. So a lot of times that's the story with PTs, right? We got hurt, we had a PT or someone along our path that inspired us. And that's certainly what happened to me. My best friend's mom was a PT. My shoulder issue had taken me out of swimming collegiately. And even 2 years later, my shoulder would flare up every time I do an overhead press or anytime I'd swim 500 yards, that shoulder would flare up. And my best friend said, come over to my mom's house. She should look at your shoulder. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. She did two things to my neck and gave me a couple exercises. And within 6 weeks, I was swimming as far as I wanted. My shoulder pain was gone. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do with my career. So from then, I really dove into what makes people well and happy and healthy. And certainly part of that is our bodies and part of that is our brains. But we've decided to detach the two instead of know that they all function together. And so a well lifetime really has to do with how are we living our fullest lives emotionally, physically, and mentally too, and being good to all parts of us.
Wow. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. Yeah. A lot of times we're thinking that they are separate and the mind and body are not. In fact, the more we can connect them, the better, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more we move, the better we feel. And that's usually true for almost everybody. But we don't like to admit it, right? Our lazy brains, our lizard brains like to say, no, let's not be active. And so to fight that by just saying, I'm going to go and do, even if it's just, I'm going to get out of bed, if you can only take that one little step right then, and then I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to put my clothes on, right? So just making the choice to take that one more step, even if it seems simple, is really important. I
Yes.
loved the last podcast I listened to from Better Than the Pill was about just living today, just living today for today and then tomorrow and the next day versus projecting all those things that could be, negative and wrong that might happen, but don't really exist yet. So that was really great.
Yeah, thank you. No, 100% because yeah, we can get stuck in the past and not be fully present, right?
Mm-hmm.
A-
Totally.
And so it's interesting. So like tell me a little bit more about the nature of your work, I guess, above and beyond the actual physical therapy
Sure.
piece here.
Yeah, sure. So I love our physical therapy practices and we help people in their everyday. When you think about traditional PT, somebody's hurt, they come into our office and we fix them. But outside of that, Accelerate is a national consulting firm with corporations, and we help companies reduce injury rates. And that's like the nutshell nugget of it. But in reality, we're frontline healthcare providers for their employees because we know that employees who do really hard work, they're just like athletes. So we call them industrial athletes. And we try to shift their mindset into they have to treat themselves well, they have to recover, they have to hydrate, they have to do their job well because they're going to take their bodies with them wherever they go. So our clients that we work with really, really care about their employees. And so they put us in-house to walk around on the floors, on the warehouse floors, the manufacturing floors, just to say, hey, how's it going? Do you have any aches, pains, and problems? What's going on here? And to try to not just dive into like your wrist hurts a little bit, but why is your wrist hurting a little bit? And then adjusting the work from there. So it's a super rewarding career because we can take care of the employees. This is what my team does really well. They're athletic trainers and physical therapists. So they're born to serve, and they're so excited to know like they're going to the source of the issue and stopping something before it starts. And that's what's super powerful. So then we watch the companies' injury rates come down, their lost days to work come down. We watch their employee retention increase because that employee knows they're working for an employer who cares about them, like fully and wholly, not just the work that they do, not just that they're getting, productivity standards, but that they can do it well and do it like an athlete does.
Wow, I love that term, industrial athlete. That's great. Yeah. And this is really interesting. So it sounds to me like this is a hands-on approach where you actually are sending physical therapists, and it sounds like athletic trainers, right,
Yes.
into companies. And so they're walking around. And then so like, for example, they're talking to the employees, like, how does that work? And them actually helping them because they're going to be working, right? They're doing a job. Is like, do they have to meet and do like physical therapy, or kind of explain to me how this works a little bit?
Sure, no problem. And I'll go back to the example that really like made me reframe in this direction with my PT career. Instead of sitting in our office and fixing people in there, early in my career, I did a lot of work comp injuries, and I would see the same people from the same companies coming in over and over and over again. And I just got tired of it one day, and I was like, you know what? I've got to figure out what's up with this. So I started calling companies, and some of them invited me in. I would tour around and watch how people work. One day I was watching this lady work, and she asked me what I was doing there. And I explained, she's like, well, I moved from that line to this line a couple months ago. And ever since, my wrist has really been killing me. I'm like, okay, well, let me watch you work. And if I can help you out, I will. And she's okay. So I watched her work, and I watched her push a button in a really weird way over and over and over again, repetitively. And I was like, okay. So I called the maintenance guy over, and I said, hey, can we move that button from like there to somewhere around here? And he said, yeah, maybe. I think so. So I went away for a few weeks, and I came back to do something else. And that lady almost tackled me because she was so happy. Her wrist pain was gone. But not only that, but all the other people who worked on that line thanked her because she took the time to find a solution. And I was pumped because I knew I could be a part of the not just the fix of the symptoms, but the fix of the cause. And so that's what my employees do every day. My athletic trainers and PTs literally walk around saying, okay, well, why does your wrist hurt? Let's manage that. Let's figure out why that hurts and take care of you. So we have the care side of that. We don't do physical therapy. We don't do athletic training per se. We do first aid in that instance. So we're doing protocol programs and things that we design in-house for our clients, ice, heat, taping, non-rigid bracing, that kind of stuff for our care side. Our coaching side, we are literally on the floor saying, okay, like instead of grabbing that potato bag overhanded and pulling it towards you, grab it underhanded and pull it towards you. And then that way they're ergonomically positioned better. And hopefully through that education and that coaching, that person can take that for a lifetime. It's not just my elbow pain's gone now, but, oh, this is how I'm supposed to grab a bag of potatoes, onions, concrete, you name it. And then they'll know what to do that's proper for them because they're going to take their body forever. So we want to make sure that they keep that sucker running.
Yeah. So it is really like dealing with an athlete, just a different type of athlete.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We're definitely coaching them. So we get, a physical therapist and especially athletic trainers. We love the care side, but when we get to be the coach and the strength and conditioning coach to fix that thing, that's like the jelly on our peanut butter sandwich. We love it.
And so you're obviously seeing results. I mean, you're making a difference. Yeah.
I've been doing this for coming up on 20 years. And it seems like our client list grows and grows and grows because companies are fed up with how our sick care system runs and tired of the rigmarole that work comp insurance companies have been putting them through and arbitrarily increasing their rates and all that. So they're taking it into their own hands and saying, we're going to care for our employees, and then we're going to bring that to our insurance companies and healthcare providers and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Help us. help us
Yeah.
be well, help our employees be well versus take care of us when we're sick.
So such a great preventative strategy, Delaine. It's brilliant. I love it. And it's like you're catching injuries almost before they occur. I mean, there may be something, somebody like you said, you're doing first aid, feeling something, this, but you're stopping things before they actually have to go to physical therapy,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. I think somebody asked me once, they're like, why would you do that? It's reducing your business. I was like, no, it's not. People get hurt all the time. Like people getting injured is a big blue ocean. It's letting people know that physical therapists are there to care for them in that. So a lot of times they'll go to a provider that's not equipped in their education to know what to do. A physician is brilliant. When you have a sick child with an ear infection, I am so grateful for an antibiotic. But pain pills don't really get you out of pain, and they certainly don't fix your problem. Right. And so with physical therapy, the goal is to get to the cause and stop the cause. You get out of pain first, and then you train to not have that again. And so, I'm a big proponent of PT first and PT early for musculoskeletal issues. See your doctor, make sure it's not something, bad or anything like that, but go to the PT pretty quick after that.
And so the physical therapist that you're sending in and you've done work yourself, obviously, it's a different type of training, I would guess, because they're not assessing somebody in the same way that they're used to, right?
Yes, it's definitely a shift for our athletic trainers. They're used to being a little more reactionary, and our PTs too, being a little more reactionary of, oh gosh, that player's hurt. What do I do right now? Versus this is just an ache. Yeah. But I always say with our industrial athletes, none of them are running off the doctor when it's just an ache, but they're mad as heck when they have to have surgery because they waited too long. And so they're mad at the company, and then they get thrown through the work comp rigmarole, so they're even more mad, even though it's not the company's fault. And so to stop all that angst, all the paperwork for the employer, we basically mitigate all that. So our program is something of a joy. I jokingly say we're like unicorns and rainbows for everyone. And once our athletic trainers realize, like, kind of take on that role of I'm the consultant, this is my team, I'm going to take care of the team even if it's little, like that's where it kind of comes in, that power comes into what they're saying.
Awesome. So it's like you have this team going in, let's say you have a company and you send in like a certain number of physical therapists or athletic trainers. And so they're just kind of assessing, walking around. It sounds like a lot of it is a manufacturing type setting that you go into a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Warehousing, a lot of manufacturing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because that's more of a physical type of workplace.
Right.
Correct.
So,
okay.
And then we're doing a lot of work at home desk setups for our corporate clients, and we can do that in their office buildings as well. But we've certainly started with the whole work from home movement. We've adapted to home working spaces and having fun with our corporate clients in that way too. But most of it's manufacturing and warehouse work. We like being in person and in-house with people.
Awesome. Very cool. And then basically when you see the red flags, or maybe it's like basically the way people are moving incorrectly while they're in these lines, that's where the physical therapists and trainers, it sounds like they're intervening, and then the physical therapy piece really is not necessary. Just want to confirm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's the same mode. You're just thinking about it, that I'm preventing this from happening versus how do I rehab that to get it better?
No, that totally makes sense to me. And yeah, because I mean, there's so many, and first of all, a lot of things that, I always think this to myself, like, and you may agree, it's like a lot of things that we need to do to prevent injury, are the same things we need to do to actually relieve the pain. There's like crossover a lot of times, right?
Right. Yeah. So it used to be, so I'll tell the story about my grandmother. My grandmother was told that you only have so many heartbeats in your life. And so if you're not cooking or making the bed, you need to sit down. And she had a total shoulder replacement in her 70s. And this was a long, long time ago. She'd be well over 100 now. But she was supposed to go to physical therapy. And she told her surgeon, well, if you didn't fix it, nobody will. But a total shoulder, you have to have rehab, or it's just going to say. So she had the last few years of her life, she wore a sling and carried her arm around in a sling the rest of her life. And so I'm glad that we're breaking free of that mold where movement is healing, right? Movement is medicine. I know that's a program that people have, that if we can tell ourselves in our mind, like, don't just sit down, like, let's figure out what's not working. I'm a runner and a triathlete. And so all the runners like to come to my office because they know I understand that if there's any way I can avoid saying, okay, don't run for a little bit, they know I'm going to. So that I think that's really powerful to say, let's find a different mode, or let's figure out, well, you can run 3 miles before it hurts. Okay, well, let's then run 2 with this tape job that I'm going to do on you or whatever, and just try to avoid not taking somebody out of their sport or out of their life is really, really important, if at all
Right.
possible, while they rehab. But yeah, just sitting down usually doesn't work. Actually, I think they say that, like, if somebody has back issues and they go sitting down and lying down, it makes them like 10 times worse.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, movement, like we know, is medicine 100%. And even if it sounds cliche, it's the truth. And it can be adaptable to like every mode, like you're saying, whether it's an athlete, in an extreme case, that's somebody that's a triathlete like yourself, or somebody that is just working physically, which is, the truth. We still have to maintain our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the employees that we care for, they work just as hard as a professional athlete. They just do it day over day over day, and they don't have. I just watched. My kids just watched, what is it called, Quarterbacks, on
Mhm.
Netflix or whatever it was on, and I was like, wow, look at all the things they do to take care of themselves. All the healthcare providers, the ice baths, all of that stuff, all the stuff to recover. And they have that at their disposal because they're professional athletes. If we can just give them, you know, a good portion of that, and especially the care part, then we're taking a really big step for industrial athletes and for caring for people,
Mhm.
the way they should be cared for when they have physical jobs.
No, that's great. So what else are you doing? Like, we talked about the well lifetime. Is there anything from the emotional component or mindset component, or what else are you doing?
Yeah. So really important. We see this all the time in our clinic, that people are carrying, like, emotional baggage around with them. Sometimes it's been from long, long, long times, and we're not psychologists, and we're not sociologists, and we're not psychiatrists. We're physical therapists and athletic trainers. But every once in a while in the clinic, we can see somebody's really harboring something. Sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes we just discover it. I had this lady that had a frozen shoulder when I was a student, and she was lovely. I mean, we had the best conversations, and but I couldn't get that last like 20 degrees of motion for her shoulder. So I said, listen, I was like, I'm going to stick my hand in your armpit, which you always have to warn people when you're going to do that. But I'm going to stick my hand in your armpit, and I'm going to massage the muscle that's under there, because I think that's what's holding something that's holding up. So I did it, and we were having a lovely conversation, and she just started bawling. Now, as a student, I was like, oh my gosh, did it hurt? Like, and she's like, no, it doesn't hurt. I don't know why I'm crying. And she cried 3 more times. She got all her range back, but it was that emotion locked in the muscle or the tissue or whatever.
Mhm.
And so for us, like, we try to employ with all of our patients, and with our industrial athletes, like, you're gonna be in here and we're gonna do exercise and manual stuff in the clinic, and we're gonna teach you how to move in our companies. But you have to start stretching, you have to start moving. And when you're doing it, don't just do it like, okay, I'm gonna like read a book and stretch my hamstring out, or I'm gonna type and stretch. Like, focus on that, focus on your breathing, because we can certainly reduce their stress level. We try to meet people where they are in our clinic emotionally. If somebody comes in and they're already crying, we don't come up and like blast them out with positivity and get them all mad, right? We come in, stay calm, and meet them where they are. And I think that might be missing in healthcare today a lot, that your provider just walks in with their computer. They don't say who they are. I did that with my primary care the other day. I know my primary care doctor, he's amazing, but he had a new medical assistant. She came in, okay, what's going on? I was like, I'm Delaine. What's your name? And so I think like just doing those basic skill sets of humanizing stuff. What's your name? How are you doing? What's going on? Do you like do you like the Tar Heels, right? Like in North Carolina, do you like Tar Heels? Do you like Duke? Which one? Right? Because it's never both. And like humanizing people and humanizing yourself to connect with people emotionally. I think that's important. I think our practice has a great reputation in our town because we take the time to care. We really do care about you. We want to know your name. We want to know what you're really trying to get back to. Not just let's get that shoulder moving. Like, why? Oh, because I want to be able to dance with my daughter at their wedding or whatever.
Yeah. And you're able to do that in the workplace too, because your people are taking the time to get to know the employees.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I had a guy who he wouldn't lift right. He was a great employee. He was super nice guy, but he wouldn't lift right. And I would feel like, hey, we really should work on this. Don't want you to hurt your back. Well, after a year or two of doing it wrong, he hurt his back. And he came back and he was out of work, and he came back to work a few months later, and he was like, hey, he's like, I don't want to do that again. And I was like, great. I don't want you to do it again. He's like, okay. I said, so just do it my way for 2 weeks. And I showed him how to lift pallets properly. We sat there for 20, 30 minutes, just working together. And about 6 weeks later, he came up to me. He's like, I can't thank you enough. He said, I didn't realize by lifting properly. He's like, I walk faster. He's like, I pick faster. He said, everybody's told me you can't lift properly and do this job properly, except for you. He said, you've always said you can do better if you lift properly. And he's like, I didn't believe you. But now I'm picking faster than everybody. He's like, and I walk faster. He said, I don't have to go home and lay on the floor for 30 minutes before I play with my kids. I was like,
yes, that's powerful.
So those are the things that bring us joy, and to know we're not just affecting that person, but their family.
Yeah.
And how they're relating to their world. So that's really cool. And we love it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And it's obviously a need, and your company is growing, and it sounds like you've got 10,000 employees?
So I like to say that my claim to why I keep doing the things that I do is when I started my practice in Salisbury, I could care for about 15 people a day. And that was super great. And now with my whole team, we care for about 10,000 people a day. And that's just like, it gives me chills to think about. And so we got a really big goal of 50,000 people a day. We're going to get there. And everybody's on board rowing towards the same direction, but we're rowing for the right reason, which is caring for people, not the 5-minute interaction you have with your healthcare provider so they can bill properly. We're really, really doing it to stop injuries before they start, teach people how to be well in all aspects of their lives. Right. I have no doubt my buddy with the back pain at the company, like, we affected his mental health because we affected his physical health. We affected his emotional health because he was able to see down the line how it helped him.
That's awesome. That is great. And you have clients like tell us some of your clients. I know you have some major brands that you're working with.
So yeah, over the years, we've definitely worked with lots of clients, and I jokingly say I'm the Mike Rowe of Rowan County, North Carolina. So I've been gifted to work with um, Del Hayes and Freightliner, Jockey, Dillard's, Gilbarco, and Aldi, and so we have just loved doing that, along with a lot of other clients, a lot of other smaller businesses that it's so cool to see American made companies doing American made things and serving America too. Um, whenever I talk to any of our grocers that warehousing, I say, thank you, because especially during the pandemic, like, people don't understand, if you haven't seen how food gets to the stores. That's amazing. I mean, it's incredible. And so if somebody works at a grocery store chain somewhere, please say thank you. I don't care which one it is. Just tell them thank you, because I can't grow food. Like, I can't grow a carrot, and I don't know how to hunt. So if the food wasn't on the shelves, I would be out of luck, and my family would be out of luck. So especially during the pandemic, I said a lot of thank yous to a lot of people for showing up to work. It's important.
Yeah, that's so good. And yeah, it's so great to hear. And you're making a huge difference in many people's lives. Um, Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this information. And I am going to include the link to your website here in the episode. So if
Oh,
people want to
awesome.
reach out to
Yeah.
you
Thank you. Yes. And
directly.
that's an easy way to get in touch with any of us. I have a LinkedIn profile as well, and happy to message me on there.
Excellent. And we'll put that in this episode too. And thank you again, Delaine, for coming
Thank
on.
you, Karen.
And remember, we do new episodes every week on Wednesday, and I look forward to having you join me then.